about me or my family or my friends or someone that I know.
Even your cat, or he says your pet.
Yeah, even pets. On one way or another, this is going to teach me something.
Welcome to Learn With Us, brought to you by 303andU. We are a team of 4 non-financial advisors who are exploring a revolutionary new financial approach that goes beyond money to prioritize your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Through weekly meetings and engaging podcasts, we strive to help you improve all aspects of your well-being as well as ours. Come join us on this journey of growth and self-improvement because at 303andU, we believe true wealth extends beyond dollars and cents. Happy learning!
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Learn With Us. Today, we are starting a new book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. Amanda has a little bit of the foreword she'd like to read out because we always like their words the best.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Hope everybody's having a good week. I'm not going to read the whole foreword, just the first about paragraph or two because it explains a little bit about emotions. It says, there are powerful, invisible forces constantly at work in our lives, things we often take for granted, such as radiation, gravity, electromagnetism. Too little and life on Earth would not be possible. Too much and we'd all be dead. But we also have to include human emotion on the list of forces that shape us. Love, hate, fear, anger, and gratitude are just a few emotions that uniquely and powerfully impact life as much as anything else on this planet. That's why neuroscientists, psychologists, and physiologists have spent the last few decades intensely researching and demonstrating the profound effect that emotion has on how we think and behave, and also on our personal health, wellness, energy levels, and overall vitality. I'm going to skip to the end of the foreword and the last little paragraph there. I believe that the discoveries in this book can change our understanding of how we store emotional experiences, and in so doing, change our lives.
All right, Chapter 1, Trapped Emotions, The Invisible Epidemic. Starts with a nice little paragraph, sums it all up. Where would you be without your emotions? If the sum total of all your experiences make up the tapestry of your life, it is the emotions you have experienced that give the tapestry its color. Try to imagine for a moment a world where no emotions could occur. No joy would be possible. No feelings of happiness, bliss, charity, or kindness. No love would be felt. No positive emotions of any kind. On this imaginary emotionless planet, there would be no negative emotions either. No sorrow, no anger, no feeling of depression, and no grief. To live on such a planet would be to merely exist, with no ability to feel emotion. Life would be reduced to gray, mechanical ritual from cradle to grave. Be grateful that you can feel emotion. But are there emotions you have experienced that you would rather not have felt? If you are like most people, your life has had its dark times. You have probably experienced moments of anxiety as well as times of grief, anger, frustration, and fear. You may have experienced periods of sorrow as well as depression, low self-esteem, hopelessness, or any of a wide variety of negative emotions. What you may not realize is that some of the negative emotions you've experienced, even though you may have felt them long ago, may be creating problems for you now. Yes, some of your old experiences are still affecting you in subtle yet damaging ways. The emotion code is about finding those old emotions and releasing them forever. Most of our suffering is due to negative emotional energies trapped within us. The emotion code is a simple and powerful method of finding and releasing these trapped energies. Many people have found when they free themselves of their trapped emotions, they are able to live healthier and happier lives. A single trapped emotion can create both physical and emotional problems.
I'm going to cut you off because there's a couple of real life examples that the author throws in, illustrate how releasing trapped emotional energy can result in astonishing and sudden improvements. The names are changed. I know we said that before, but it says Linda's constant feelings of suicidal depression went away. Cheryl was finally able to shed her anger towards her ex-husband and create a wonderful, loving relationship with a new man. Larry's foot pain disappeared along with his limp. Jim's shoulder pain disappeared. Sandy's knee pain, which she had seen 3 other doctors for, was gone in just moments.
It's funny because my dad has tinnitus, and that's the first thing. He's like, so what? How did I get this? And they're like, there's something in your head. And that's what I think about when we're reading this book, is that he literally has a disease in his elbow that, I mean, it causes him severe pain. But even the doctors say it's mental. There's no reason for it.
Really? Wow. Yeah, it's pretty neat. And it's interesting to think about. I'm excited.
We're no doctors.
No, I'm excited to see what this book is going to teach me, because I've never really heard too much about this before.
After all that, he goes on to say, whether you are a doctor, which we just said we're not, or a fisherman, a housewife, or a teenager, you can learn the emotion code. It's simple. Anyone can learn how to be free from the real and damaging effects of trapped emotion. What are emotions?
Simply put, the author describes emotions as vibrations of pure energy. Every emotion has its own unique vibrational frequency. Everything in the universe is made of energy, and emotions are no exception.
I believe that. You ever have a good cry? You always got to take a good nap right after.
3 things happen when we experience an emotion. First, our body generates the emotional vibration. Second, we begin to feel the emotion and any thoughts or physical sensations that come along with it. And third, we choose to let the emotion go, and we move on after a few seconds to several minutes. This last step is called processing.
And I like how he continues to say that as you go on, if one of those 3 steps get interrupted, then you can't ever process completely.
Right. And then the emotion is likely to become trapped somewhere in your body.
And that's how you start building up physical pain from an emotion. I know there's no like scientific connection, but it makes sense, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. They say that we don't really completely understand all the reasons why your emotions are not processed completely. It appears that the more overwhelming an emotion is, the more likely it will be to become trapped. Well, it says that most people would like to forget some emotionally difficult times that they go through, but if they don't process them fully, then they can become trapped, and then even if you don't remember, your subconscious mind remembers.
I like how he says that people go to therapy and they've gotten over the experience, but their body hasn't processed the experience. And it's like 2 different stages, you know. He says you need to go to the therapist. That's going to help you, but you also need this emotion, which we don't know what the code is yet, but
Right.
he says this will also help you process it even more through your body.
He says many people who have extreme trauma, they have blocked out years of their lives and remember almost nothing, but the emotion code allows us to bypass the conscious mind completely. Each time you trap an emotion, you get stuck in the middle of whatever traumatic event you are experiencing at that time. So instead of moving beyond your angry moment or temporary bout with grief or depression, you retain this negative emotion energy within your body.
And that's what's causing the physical and the emotional stress, is that it's never being released.
It says, although they are not visible, they are very real.
Just like the wind, he was saying, you can't see the wind, but you can tell when the wind's blowing and it's going to tip you over. Like, you can feel that thing in you. So can't say, well, if I cut it open, it's not right there. Well, no, but it is there.
It says your future held hostage. It's a little section. It says, do you ever feel like you are struggling under the weight of something that you can't quite put your finger on? Perhaps your attempts to form lasting relationships never seem to work out. You may even have uneasy feelings that your present is being held hostage by your past in some vague and indefinable way. It goes on with quite a few stories and letters that people have wrote in from his experience, because he's a holistic physician.
But I feel like everybody has a breakup story. You got to have your high school sweetheart. And I bet you there's people that they met almost their dream girl at the time, so she did something to him that still in his relationship today, even though they're married, and he's still having trauma that girl did, like cheating on him, or however it ended. The way it ended was so rough because, you know, teenagers just don't care and don't think about the later consequences. But could still be affecting his marriage.
Oh, here's the wind part. It says, in the same way that the effects of the wind are felt rather than seen, trapped emotions are invisible, yet can exert a powerful influence upon you. It is my experience that a significant percentage of self-sabotage, physical illness, and emotional difficulties are actually caused by these unseen energies.
Self-sabotage, I really like that. People, I feel like that's the biggest one, especially to relate it back to money. That's where everyone starts hurting themselves. It's always you who's your biggest enemy.
And then it explains why trapped emotions are so damaging to each one of us, because they can cause you to make the wrong assumptions, overreact to innocent remarks, misinterpret others' behavior, and short-circuit your own relationships. Even worse, trapped emotions can create depression, anxiety, and other unwanted feelings that you can't seem to shake.
That's funny to think about. If you're at work and someone says a nickname to you that maybe people used in high school, where at work they were just trying to be funny, playful, but in high school they were using it to be mean, and you still, like, now you can't accept it. So you're like, why are they picking on me? But really they're like your friends at work. That emotion is bagging up and making you think it's an insult.
Yeah, and just because, like they say, time heals all wounds.
Oh, I love that.
But he says that's not necessarily true. You may think that you have let go of all your emotional pain from a prior relationship, and maybe you've had therapy to deal with it. It might seem like it's all behind you now, but your body may literally be inhabited by the invisible energies of old emotions.
No, that was the one that made me think about the high school relationships, how they can affect even nowadays.
And if that's an actual wound that you have trapped, then it doesn't matter how much time, it's going to be there until you heal it properly. He says the longer a trapped emotion remains in your body, the more likely it is to create emotional and physical pain.
Oh, so it's almost the opposite. Time is not healing. It's creating a gouge.
It's
cancer almost. It's growing.
Literally. Yeah, like a cancer slowly growing and festering, probably taking over.
He has a story on there that I couldn't even believe, but he says they're all real, so it's pinned to the past. Do you remember that one? It's the girl where she's in the audience and she can't walk her whole life. She's always had this horrible pain and she can't figure out why. And he's asked her a bunch of questions and he got her to lead up to, it was something to do when she was about 1 year old. So he's like, man, 1 year old, that's weird. What would happen to you at 1? That'd be so horrible. And her mom's in the audience crying.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, why? What's up? What happened? He's like, well, I don't really want to talk about this, but...
She had used cloth diapers and had accidentally pinned the pin through the diaper and her baby's skin a little bit, and then didn't know until the next time she changed her, even though she just cried and cried.
Thinking the baby's just colic or whatever.
She said she felt so horrible. She still feels horrible. But then he says, I turned and I asked, is this what this trapped emotion is about? I pressed down on her arm and it was very strong, indicating that this was indeed the case. I released the trapped emotion and the girl sat down again. About 2 weeks later, I received a following email, which was from her mom saying that her daughter, who had always suffered from hip and knee pain since about the age of 12, now was completely pain-free and was experiencing a new sense of inner joy.
The story is just hard for me to accept because I'm like, man, I wonder, what happens to everyone. Say you got dropped once as a baby, now you're terrified of falling. What else has happened to you that you could never remember, but your body's like, that one time that happened and we're never letting that happen again.
And the author does point out that, of course, not all physical pain is caused by trapped emotions, but it's very interesting to contemplate that they can cause or contribute to physical pain. It says, I have come to understand that trapped emotions seem to be involved to one degree or another in nearly every illness I have encountered. He goes on to explain that the most ancient idea in the art of healing is that disease is caused by imbalances in the body. Trapped emotions are the most common type of imbalance human beings suffer from. I believe that trapped emotions can be implicated in nearly all diseases, either directly or indirectly.
That list is, it's got to be, 30 long?
Yeah, it says trapped emotions are truly epidemic, and they are the insidious, invisible cause of much suffering and illness, both physical and emotional in nature. I guess I can list a couple.
Well, no, I just think it's amazing. I mean, ADHD, I always wondered, what is that? But maybe it is something happened to you, and it's
When you were
trapped, and now
little-
your body's constantly in that state, stuck there.
Whether it's it's like hyperactive
Yeah.
or hyper anxious. I mean, can you even really pinpoint what it could be depending on the age?
I definitely agree with PTSD. That's got to be some emotion. That's all pure emotional experience.
Yeah, there's depression, there's anxiety, panic attacks, paranoia, suicidal thoughts. All of those are emotional. But he also lists actual physical.
I've heard of cancer before, as people have gotten rid of stress or something in their lives, and their body can actually get rid of the cancer.
Bipolar disorder,
Oh, wow, even that.
dyslexia,
That was the one I was hoping to cure from this book.
fibromyalgia. They say joint pain, migraines.
And probably even 100 more that he didn't even list.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
We said this a little bit in the beginning, but it's definitely not the underlying reason for any of these problems is because of your emotions, but it's definitely a symptom.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. We don't really know. It depends on what your symptoms are.
That's why it's kind of hard for me to believe that people back pain for 50 years and he can just say one thing and it releases it forever. We'll find out.
Yeah. Says sometimes the release of a trapped emotion will bring out the instantaneous and dramatic effect, like what you're talking about. But most of the time, the effects are more subtle. Either way, their release often seems to bring a greater sense of contentment and peace.
I won't argue with that. It can't can't hurt to do a little self-reflecting through this book or whatever I'm assuming that's how he gets to the bottom. But we don't get to find out in this chapter.
No, he closes it out by just saying that once you learn how to use the emotion code, that he guarantees that it will give you a greater feeling of serenity. You'll be able to free yourself from your old emotional baggage. You will restore a new inner calm and balance, even if nothing has helped before. This one's worth a shot. And then that's how he ends it. So he doesn't tell us anything else.
Yeah,
I mean, it's only chapter 1. It's just an intro.
I know it was the beginning. I kind of had that. That's my opinion of the first chapter so far. I feel like he was trying to sell me a book that I've already have in my hand. You know?
I didn't feel that way at all. I found it very interesting to even think that deeply about emotions and how they can affect you without you realizing it for some people their whole lives.
Next week, we start with The Secret World of Trapped Emotion.
It's chapter 2. Get yourself a copy of the book if you want to follow along. Seems like it's going to be a lot of reading. I think I like this book. It's different than any other book we've ever done before, and I feel like on a personal level, whether about me or my family or my friends or someone that I know.
Even your cat, or he says your pet.
Yeah, even pets. On one way or another, this is going to teach me something. And I'm interested in it. I was always into psychology and things like that anyways, and understanding people, so...
Well, we claimed we're going to get into the emotional side of the economical world, and I don't know another way to get into it than start with this one for sure.
That's for sure.
I feel like our last book, we only got a little bit on the surface. We didn't really even get that personal.
No, definitely not. This one might actually crack us. Maybe we could fix some of our own issues that we have in our own lives.
I hope we help a couple of you on the way. That's going to do it for this week, though. See everybody here next Monday.
Everybody have a good week.
Bye.
Happy learning.
Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion and found it both informative and entertaining. Please stay connected with us and continue the conversation on our social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also catch us on most podcast platforms and catch up on previous episodes. If you have any suggestions or topics you'd like us to explore in the future, we'd love to hear from you, and you can reach out to us via email at 303nu@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a review and share the podcast with your friends and family if you've enjoyed what you've heard. We will be back next week with more engaging topics and insightful conversations. Until then, take care, stay curious, and happy learning.